Yo, what is up, people? Today I'm joined by who is going to be our statistician and my very honourable guest for the day, Hamza Khan. And today, as you guys guessed, we're going to be talking about England versus Scotland, as it shows you right there. Now, just before we get started, England versus Scotland is the oldest international rivalry in football, dating back all the way to
1872.
1872. That was before I was born. A very long time ago indeed. So, talking about the England versus Scotland game, we're already on to round two in the tournament. England walked away with a win, and Scotland
Loss.
a harsh loss, to be fair, because I think they had tons of chances and
Yeah.
they really. I mean, you guys know I'm a Liverpool fan, and Robertson really should have done better with some of his shots. Really could have put one away. But what's your take on England and Scotland's run in the Euro so far?
Well, I think if we look at England first, quite an impressive 1-0 victory. Not the most convincing performance, but Croatia didn't have a sniff at goal, not one chance. You probably watched the game.
Yeah.
Did you realise Luka Modric was on the pitch?
Who?
Exactly, exactly. On the stats, 50% possession, but when Croatia had the ball, it's like they couldn't get through to us. Tyrone Mings, unbelievable at the back. Came in for Harry Maguire, who's injured.
A very important thing about this game is the last big international team we played was Croatia, and that resulted in heartbreak for England, and really no reason why. I mean, we had chances in that game all the way dating back to the World Cup, which we should have scored, and since then we haven't had a big international game. The only team I can remember playing all the time is San Marino. I don't know why. It seems like we're playing them every other weekend.
Yeah, Wayne Rooney scoring 5 goals against them. That padding.
All penalties. But and to start this tournament, playing the team that knocked us out in the World Cup is a big chance for us, or rather was a big chance for us to kind of prove that this England squad's quite improved and everything. And just talking about coming into the tournament, the team that was chosen, the England team that was chosen, I'll be honest, I mean, I would have made a few changes, and it's difficult because we do have tons of quality and tons of talent, and more than I can actually remember. Obviously, I was younger before, but I genuinely think we've got the right players to actually have a proper shot in these tournaments. But what's your take on England coming into the tournament and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I think Southgate, he's been questioned many times about his selection and who's he picked. The whole question was with Trent Alexander-Arnold, was he going to get picked? Then he got injured. Kind of made it almost easier for Gareth Southgate. A couple of the players that got picked, Tyrone Mings, everyone was saying, how has he got picked over Ezra Konsa, his partner at Aston Villa. You look at Kalvin Phillips, a lot of people question him, especially when he was in the starting lineup, and then he goes and puts a man of the match performance. So, all credit to Gareth Southgate. He's been questioned, and the questions have been answered. Even Raheem Sterling.
Raheem Sterling was actually such an interesting one because when it came to obviously choosing the teams and everything, you need to base it on form. And my biggest criticism of Southgate is there's just these names that automatically make it into the England squad. And I think Kalvin Phillips is an interesting one because he's not one of those names, and he doesn't play for one of the biggest clubs in England and stuff. Obviously I'm talking about position on the table, but Raheem Sterling genuinely, and I know a lot of people are going to say I'm saying this because I'm a Liverpool fan and I've got something against Sterling, but I genuinely don't. And he just hasn't had the best season. You expect a lot more from him, right? And the fact that City ran away with the title pretty much, you would expect someone like Raheem Sterling to have much better stats, and he simply didn't. But Southgate chose him, and I've got to give it to him. He did all right last game, and I think something about Sterling is he brings a different style of football to the game. He does something that a lot of, in fact, I don't think anyone that comes to mind can play like Raheem Sterling, and he brings something different.
Kalvin Phillips played a lot higher up the field than he does for Leeds. He was given that freedom by Declan Rice, who was just, you didn't realise he was in the game because he was just protecting the back four, protecting Kalvin Phillips, and that allowed Kalvin Phillips to play almost the Kante role that he does at Chelsea. Playing forward, winning the ball higher up the pitch, and I think against Scotland, he's going to need to do that because Scotland are going to play low. Every time the Scotland, defenders, midfielders, McTominay, McGinn get the ball, that's where Kalvin Phillips needs to be, up there trying to win the ball. Hopefully he starts again, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think he was one player that a lot of people were going on about after the game and stuff. Despite it being a typically boring game, I wasn't expecting much because right now it's just about grinding results. Because that's the nature of these cup competitions.
Let's move on to Scotland. Just an unlucky game for them. they lost 2-0. They had an expected goals of 1.95. Czech Republic only a 1.09. I mean, 19 shots, but only 4 on target is just not good enough. They had Landon Dykes up front, probably won about every header that came towards him, but just couldn't put any of his chances away. And then you have Patrick Schick scoring from the halfway line. Who would have expected that?
Literally freak goal, but probably potentially goal of the tournament.
Definitely.
And already first round. But I mean, there's still a long way to go. We'll see how things go. But it's nice to see a team like Scotland obviously competing in these sort of tournaments. And I think much like England, Scotland is still in that process where they're kind of moulding. It's very early in the tournament, and with the Premier League and other leagues ending so recently, domestic leagues, there's just only a short time for them to mould. And as the tournament goes on, I think we'll see a better. And I think that's part of the big reason why Scotland weren't converting their chances. Like, they were playing as a unit, but not as strong as a unit as a normal club team would, because obviously they don't have those days together. But even in the game, obviously you had that free goal and whatnot. Was there any particular players that you would say that you would want to keep your eye on from Scotland? Obviously now that they're playing against England.
The main man, I mean, I know a lot of Liverpool fans will be watching. Andrew Robertson, unbelievable game. I mean, down the left side, every time the ball came to him. I mean, I don't think they even tried to play down the right most of the time. They always want to get it to Robertson. He can get it down the wing and he can cross it to Landon Dykes. He can win headers. But the thing is, can he get those headers on target? He had a great chance. He should have probably put it away. He side-footed it. Just got to strike it across the goal. Another player that, I mean, I'm sure all Scottish fans want to start is Che Adams, Southampton player. You know, young player, but he's quick, explosive, and if they want to catch England on the counter-attack, you're going to need Che Adams up there with Landon Dykes. You know, on the last man, on John Stones, on Tyrone Mings, causing problems, and if they can do that, then it'll be an interesting game for them.
But yeah, no, I mean, Che Adams, interesting shout and whatnot, because you see him at Southampton and he brings this excitement to the pitch. And I think that's something that could potentially catch us off guard. Like, he's definitely one player to look out for. Obviously, you got Andy Robertson as well, who's literally a workhorse. Like, he just doesn't stop for 90 minutes. He's going to keep grinding, keep tackling. He's going to try have that very leadership sort of role on the pitch. So I think he's very someone to, I don't know, kind of watch out for. And the thing about England is, like, we tend to become complacent at times, especially when we've slowed, because as England, you've got this whole prestige on the pitch, this big ego along with the team and whatnot, and it's a great thing to have because other teams fall into this trap of feeling less confident. But against Scotland, there's that long dated rivalry that they're coming out, and if there's one game they want to win this whole tournament, it's going to be against England. And the thing is, they, like England, obviously we're going to try to control the game, take it in our direction, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't result in complacency, because we've seen what that's done before, going all the way back to the World Cup again. It's complacency that kind of lost us games, because we just weren't concentrating for the full 90 minutes, and silly mistakes here and there cost us goals. And against a team like Scotland, where you've got young players, explosive players, very exciting players as well, that obviously want to put their name down in the history book, any opportunity they get, they're going to jump at it, and we just need to watch out for that.
How England are going to break Scotland down is the question for Gareth Southgate, and we could be seeing Jack Grealish maybe starting instead of Raheem Sterling. Probably not. But Phil Foden has definitely got to be a starter. And I think Phil Foden is a great player. And he can create spaces out of nothing. And that's what we're going to need against Scotland.
If there's any football fan, and I've said this in like my Liverpool videos as well and whatnot, if there's a single football fan out there that denies how great Foden is, it's literally come down to bias or jealousy or something like that. Like that goal he scored, I think it was against Liverpool. I can't even remember where it came across the right and he just cut in and whatnot. But he's
scored a lot like that.
He's just so fast. He's so smart, and that's the thing. Like, his ability's there, his awareness is there, and he's just very intelligent with the ball. I'll be honest. He's probably from the beginning of the tournament. He's been like the player off. Like, I think he's gonna be like that young player of the tournament.
The man to watch.
Literally, yeah, the man to watch.
Or the boy to watch.
Yeah, literally, he's that young, and I don't think that's just for English fans. I think that's for a lot of fans out there from other countries and whatnot. He's gonna kind of be the player that people are gonna be watching, because a lot of these fans do watch Premier League football as well. So obviously they know about Foden and stuff like that.
So I just want to look at the sort of duels that we're gonna have. I mean, I have Andrew Robertson against Kyle Walker. Now this is the one I want to talk about, because Kyle Walker, in my opinion, he's not England's best right back. I think we have a lot better right backs.
The thing about Kyle Walker, if you look at his physique, his abilities, you would think it's an incredible player. That he's fast, he's strong, he's got the height as well. And my biggest problem with him, he's just clumsy sometimes. Like, he just does things that I'm just like, bro, like, what are you doing?
He had a couple of those
yeah,
in the
yeah,
game.
yeah. And the thing is, at this level of the game, we're talking like probably European football has to be like, especially when it comes to like internationals or whatever, Euros has to be like probably the highest up there after the World Cup. And at this level of football, where you've got all these young players coming through and they want to make an impact on their team, you can't make these sort of mistakes. And these mistakes will cost you games. These mistakes literally will change the whole destiny of the way the tournament's meant to go for us and all that sort of stuff. And I think Kyle Walker needs to be careful because he's got Robertson coming at him, and Robertson's a smart player, and these two play against each other quite regularly.
A big rivalry there on that left
and
hand
obviously, normally in a normal game week or whatever, I'll be on Robertson's side of it, and I've seen. Watching Liverpool versus Man City, I've seen how Robertson's had that dominance over Kyle Walker, and I've also seen it the other way around. When Robertson's not having a great game, I've seen Walker be able to, I wouldn't say trample on him, but I've seen Walker be able to pick out Robertson's weaknesses. And the fact that these players know each other's strengths and weaknesses is going to make for a great game. And then you've mentioned Jack Grealish starting over, I forgot who you said now.
Starting over, well, I mean, maybe he might start over Phil Foden
or Sterling.
Raheem Sterling,
Yeah. So out of that trio you've got there, we've got, to be honest, all three of them have that ability to change a game. They've got that ability to expose space, move into it, and they're great players off the ball with their feet. And I think Jack Grealish, out of those three, is probably... see, it's a really difficult one because they all bring something slightly different as well, right? And basically the point that I'm trying to get to is I really want to see Jack Grealish become a crucial part of this tournament because he's got a great mindset on the pitch. And we've seen that for Villa and how strong his want, his need, his desire is on that pitch. And I feel that Raheem Sterling, and I know I might sound like I'm being extremely critical here, as a mindset, when the game's not going in his direction, I can see he gets very frustrated and it doesn't bring out the best in him. And you've got Foden there as well, who hasn't played at a high level enough for me to criticise whether he's able to pull that off or not as a mentality sort of thing. But I've seen Jack Grealish for so many years. Like, I remember watching him live, Liverpool versus Aston Villa in the FA Cup semis and whatnot, and he pulled off an absolute performance. And the thing is, the odds are stacked against him playing for Villa. And I've seen that on so many different occasions, how many times he gets hacked, how many times he gets clipped and whatnot. I think he's second in the league after Zaha for getting the amount of fouls or something like that.
Yeah, and then he was out for most of the season as well.
Exactly, and he's got that solid, strong mindset. So that brings us on to the final part, is goal predictions, and who do you think is scoring them?
So my prediction, I think, while Scotland are going to be deep, I mean, internationally, you don't see many goals. A lot of the scores we've seen, only really there's been max 3 goals per game. International games, they always seem to not deliver on the goals. But I think England will win 3-1. I think...
That big scoreline, 3-1.
I think, actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go 3-0. I think Harry Kane, he's going to be a threat, but I think the first half is going to be tough for England. They're probably not going to get many chances to get a chance. And then if they can get a goal before half-time, which maybe can come from a set piece, Harry Kane, someone, they can get that goal before half-time, Scotland will come out in the second half trying to attack. And I have faith in John Stones and Tyrone Mings. I mean, Stones let us down in the 2018 World Cup semi-final, but I have faith in him now, and I think once Scotland start coming out, we're going to start attacking. Marcus Rashford's probably going to come off the bench. If Grealish isn't starting him off the bench, they're going to be able to counter-attack when Scotland start coming forward, and I think 3-0, I think that's a fair enough score.
Yeah. I think the only reason I'll disagree with you there, obviously not much of a difference, I'm going to go for a 2-0, and I genuinely think we'll score one within the 20th to 30th minute, somewhere around there, and another one late in the game. And I think the only reason I'm not going for more goals, and I would love, in an ideal situation, that 1-0 at half-time would result in Scotland trying to attack because they have to get the points, because they've already lost their game against... Czech Republic, sorry. So because they've lost their game, they need to get the points. However, once we get our goal, I just think we're going to sit back to take the game comfortably. And that's not because of international football, blah, blah, blah. That's literally how Southgate plays. Very comfortable, very easy, less stressful football. This ain't Liverpool, this ain't United, this ain't City. They're not going to start coming at teams to try to win 5-0. And just for that reason, I think we'll get 2 goals. And that's it. Goal scorers, Harry Kane, definitely. And I would love to see Foden. However, I'm gonna go for a midfielder just to spice things up a little bit. I'll go Harry Kane and Mason Mount. I'd love to see Mount on the score sheet as well.
I think my 3 goal scorers: Kane, Foden, and then Rashford off the bench.
All 3 strikers, that would be interesting. But guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. We're going to do some more games, not just England games. We're going to look at some of the more interesting games as the tournament goes on. So make sure you guys subscribe down below. I'd love to hear your opinions on the game. Make sure you comment them as well. I hope you enjoyed that video. With that said, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.